Thank you. Thank you very much. You may take your seats. Leadership, welcome back. I understand that you've had an opportunity to interface with the display, and I would imagine that you have been intrigued by a number of what's been shown there. Welcome everyone to the second part of our program. I understand that we also have some people who've joined us who were not here earlier. We want to also welcome them and say you're more than welcome. Please sit back, relax. This next part of the program is quite important and also requires all of our participation. So if you've got your smartphone or your notepad, you can take notes and questions as the proceedings continue, so that when it's time for a Q&A, you're able to participate in that particular regard. We're going to start with our first panel discussion, and we're going to be very strict on time because we've got a gala dinner later today, so we need to be out of here by 4 o'clock. I've already spoken to the moderator of the first panel discussion. We've agreed that he will be as straightforward as possible. The first panel discussion, I should say, is titled "The Future of E-Hailing in South Africa in a Changing Regulatory Environment," and it will be moderated by a man who has been working very closely with especially Santaco Meter Taxi and now with SAMTEA from literally the times of the NLTA Amendment Bill. Babu Mvubu, you've been to Parliament with him as well, so it will come with a lot of insights. The first panel discussion, it will be moderated by Mr. Prince Perekisi. Can you please give him a round of applause as he comes to the fore? And in that panel, there will be a representative from the Gauteng Department of Roads and Transport. We don't have a name. I hope that they've agreed on who will represent them. We'll also be joined by Mr. Ramudi Setsulo, the EO of the Taxi Chamber at TITA. Let's give him a round of applause as he comes to the fore as well. And we'll also be joined by the SAMTEA Compliance Unit Executive Member, that is Mr. MJ Mabote. Please also come to the fore. Let's give him another round of applause as he comes through. We just had lunch. We're all energized. Let's give him a resounding round of applause. Okay. Okay. Just to remind you again, the panel discussion is under the topic of the future of e-hailing in South Africa in a changing regulatory environment, and it is being moderated by Mr. Prince. You can go ahead. Let's give him another round of applause as they get started.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure we've all eaten and we are full, and we are ready to hear the next information that drives this industry. So our panel discussion is mainly talking about the future of e-hailing in South Africa. I think another speaker was speaking earlier on, spoke about when the platforms came, that's around 2030, there was no preparation for this type of service to come into the industry. And it has taken us to where we are today because it has affected us. There was no room to make policies, to put it into legislation and make sure that it's part of the law and everyone is compliant. So disruption happens, disruption is here and it's still going to happen. So from where we are here, I'm with the panel. I'm quite happy to see the director as well. I think we were in a meeting a few days ago discussing these things with Mr. Mabote as well. So it's very interesting that they will unpack these issues to you guys. So on to start, I'm going to start with you, Mr. Mabote. I'm going to be quick. I've been given a very few minutes to run here. Mr. Mabote, what are the most pressing regulatory challenges currently facing the e-hailing industry in South Africa?
Thank you, Prince, for that question. We actually do not have, what can I say? We don't have a procedure as to what is e-hailing. We are in the dark. The government is also in the dark. But I'm happy that it has been signed into law by the president. All we are awaiting now is the regulations. And the regulations will guide us as to how are we going to handle this disruption, because it caught us napping. From the government side, and because historically I'm from the meter taxi background, I'm one of the first people who transitioned from meter taxi to e-hailing in 2013. But I could see that it would take time for the government to catch up with this disruption. So what then happened is it moved faster than the regulations. And my worry is that as we are preparing for regulations to look at this giant, are we looking into the future, like the chairperson of TITA said, whether are we solving the problems for now or for the future? So we need to have a comprehensive way of dealing with this thing, so that when other technologies are coming, for instance, there will be flying cars in the near future. Are we prepared for that? Or are we still going to have regulations after 15 years and we are caught napping? So the faster we move and the more we are futuristic with our approach, the better.
Okay, thank you. I hear you are talking about regulations here. Now, the chief director is there, and the question that I just posed to say, what are the problems that have brought us here to have this thing on the e-hailing space? Director, if I could just bring it to you to ask you, what are you doing in terms of the regulations that you're about to pass or to take through people as you did 2 days ago? What are you doing to engage with the stakeholders? Because one of the cries that I know the drivers on the ground normally cry about is people want to regulate something that they don't know. So do you understand what you're regulating? And do you engage with the stakeholders as well on the ground to understand what is request, what happens when a request is coming, demand and supply? Because we know that from the old act, the NLTA of 2009, there is an issue that you can only be issued with the operator's license if you belong to a particular rank. But now we're in a space where we are roaming. I come from Sedibeng, I come to Johannesburg. From Johannesburg, I get a trip to Pretoria. But I don't want to get to Pretoria and be told you can't pick up from here. How are you looking into those loopholes and making sure that the regulations don't affect the people from the national level to the provincial level as well? Thank you.
No, thanks, facilitator, and good afternoon to everyone once again. You are correct. You can't regulate what you don't know. And my earlier discussion was really to lay a foundation about how do we make laws, policies, and regulations. At the center of it is consultations. Hence, from July, when we called an inclusive meeting, we wanted to announce that we are going to embark on a series of consultations which must ultimately result in the regulatory framework. And we wanted to say, let's hold hands, guide government. Remember, I've tried to explain that this is a government that says the people shall govern. Then, hence the consultative approach, which sometimes delays processes, but the patience required with that process is that when you consult, you unpack what is the animal I'm dealing with, what is the niche, the gap, the problem, and that discussion answers what you are saying. So it's not for government to come and impose that this is a kind of vehicle we are going to license, this is a driver, operator, this is the owner we want. It is through that consultative process that we unpack what is it that we want to do. If it's like minibus taxi says this is a 14-seater, what are we going to say with the e-hailing? Is it okay that you can be any number, or who says it must be that number? So that's one of the issues at the center. The other issue is pricing issues. We are not going to say this is what the apps are charging, this is what the owners want. Through a consultative process again, it must emerge out of discussions that this is a pricing framework or a pricing approach. Labor issues, through a discussion with those interested and affected, we must emerge with how we deal with labor issues. South Africa is a very legislated country. We are a, what do we call ourselves? Rule of law country. So things like this must be regulated. If a driver is not happy, there are labor issues. If the owner is not happy, there are criminal laws. So the discussions must help us understand what are we regulating. And that's why it takes time. And I've invested the time of my speech. I actually had 4 pages. I didn't read it. I just thought, let me spend time, lay a foundation to raise awareness around where are the delays in government. One of the things the American guys are doing, I think the chair was speaking about them. The first thing they announced was something we all don't know. We know, but we are not doing. They said we are going to cut red tape. They created the billionaire guy is going to be the guy. He knows how to make money. He's going to cut the things that delays things to happen. Now, how do we improve on consultation that it doesn't take long? You know how we consultation. We speak in parliament, we go to the community, we go back to the community, go back to parliament, go back to the community. By the time the president signed, someone says, no, we're not happy, we'll go to court if you don't do one to it. After how many years? So there is a time, or the time has come, where we must say, this is where we delay things. By the time you want to sign, 100 things have happened, have overtaken the initial thought. Things are no longer the same. A new technology is there, new things are there, landscape have changed. You have to go back now and say, hey, this is what we said 3 years back. Things have changed, COVID have happened, people have died. Now we can't talk as if things are the same. Things changes every day. So we need to catch up. But it is through interacting with those affected and interested that you understand. And this is the point we make even 2 days ago. To say, be patient with us. You are going to guide the process. It must be your product. And earlier I said, you must mirror yourself. When you see the act, you must say, yeah, no, that word was even used by so-and-so in that meeting. If it doesn't do that, then there's a problem. It's a coalition. It means government and the stakeholder will always fight. But for government to understand the kind of investment in the consultation, that's what it takes. There's no other shortcut. Because you'll end up in court. Someone objecting this, look at the Bella bill. How long? Now people are saying, hey, if you don't sign, we are going to court. So we don't, by investing from July when we said come together, all of you, let's explain what we want to do so that by October, we pronounce things that already all of you are comfortable about. That meeting, the venue was not proper, blah, blah, blah. It's a water under the bridge. We delayed. So in October, we couldn't pronounce. But we are here now. We've made progress. We had bilaterals. We've met inclusive. We briefed the MEC yesterday, interestingly, and they told you, they agree. We are meeting the GTI this week to tell them that this is where we are. We told them before, they were part of the before discussions. We're going to update them when they make their comments, when they're comfortable. We think January will make the process. So those are examples of issues, but I'm saying the issues must come through the consultation. The consultations must shape the product, must raise new issues. So we can't say there are 4 issues. Maybe there are 10. Maybe there are no issues except that things like who picks up where, who binds where, what is drop-off, what is pick-up. Issues that makes us fight is that you are picking up at my point A, my point B. So once you understand that, and you can't tell me not to pick up at your point, and we all have that understanding, life will be easier for all modes and for all. So, and one of the things we are saying, let's avoid using the law enforcement, the brother next to me. Because when he comes, he's not going to look at you, he's going to ask for one document. If you don't have, he applies the law. So the reason we are not impounding as a province, by the way, we clarified it, President. The province is not impounding. We've made it clear. and he tried to say he was subtle about it. But we are not impounding for the very reason that we are not issuing as fast as possible. People are waiting for us, so we can't be punishing them. But the municipalities are impounding. And we have tried to speak to them. Even yesterday, we asked the MEC to say, your colleagues have been requested to slow down because they don't have effective MREs. Actually, they don't have MREs. They don't have ITPs. Remember the requirements that I need to issue a license. It's an integrated transport plan. It's an operating licensing plan. All the 4 that I need are from the municipality. These are the guys with the route. I don't have the routes. These are the guys, local government have a rank, powers, functions, and the route. So if they don't have these things, I can't function. Okay. I'm now supposed to function without what enables me to issue the license does not exist. So we are talking to them. Tech is now rolling out. Sure. It's going to help them, and we reported some of these things 2 days ago, that tech will help us help municipalities to help us issue licenses. And that's where the issues are. Okay. But there are no limits to the issues. Okay. And the issues that are there are the issues that are causing conflicts, are the issues that will enable you to comply to grow your businesses. At the end of the day, colleagues, the message is very clear. Let's not be the reason why this business is dying. What are we doing to grow the business? So we can't be preoccupied to want to see the business dying. Okay. These people are business people. Let's support them and make them grow. That is what preoccupies us.
Thank you. No, that's very informative. I'm really happy that you are here with us on the panel, because these issues, I was happy with your slides that you did a few days ago. You clarified some of these issues because they were pressing issues. Even after you put your slides, there was containment in the room. Yes, because at least people need to be informed. But whilst we're on the issue of people being informed, it's very important when I want to implore to everyone who's on the floor. We are talking about regulations. We are talking about policy making, of putting an act of law into place. The things that we found up with Ntate Mvubu, Ntate Shange here, and the other colleagues that are sitting here, when we went to Parliament in 2018, was to find out that if we don't participate, we won't know. We need to keep on looking for information about our industry, because there's a lot of community engagements that are happening. There's a lot of things that are happening with policymakers, and you need to know how to submit your grievances, because these gentlemen, they don't listen to your emotions. Because when you're making law, you submit legal facts about what you're talking about, especially on e-hailing. So it makes me happy to hear you put some of these things across. But I'll have a few follow-up questions for you regarding that. But because you were touching, as we were going, regarding the issue of impounding and so forth, which is a major issue. Because we started with the problems. We came to the issue on what's the way forward. But like you said, the government cannot go and impound when they have a backlog. So I would like to ask you, that what's happening in Tshwane? Because we are facing these things in Tshwane. If our cars just get into Tshwane, the phone calls are going up. Hey, they impounded our cars here. But we have registered at the department, we haven't been issued. So these are things that we want to find out. What's the synergy? What are you guys doing about this? We don't want confusion. We understand that municipalities differ, even if in a province. The bylaws differ within each municipality. But how can we put these things across so that since we are a roaming industry, we roam? It's different from before. So how are you guys adjusting to that? Please adjust on our end so that when we move into a particular town, I get a trip from Gauteng, Johannesburg, I need to drop off in Pretoria. And then when I get to Pretoria, they're there on the corner. Take this car and go and put it in the impound. How do we address those issues, my lead?
Thank you. Sorry. Colleagues, I think we should understand that earlier on when I spoke about how the industry has jumped the gun. When Bontate started operating, they knew that They knew that you can't go and buy a car if you have not been issued with a grant letter. And they made sure that they follow the process. When e-hailing came, the business concept was saturate the market, make sure we don't have clients waiting, and let's make more money. But who then suffers? It's the people who are the operators, who are sent to go and operate without operating licenses. Now, we as a province are saying there's no need to go and impound a vehicle that has an operating license. The operating license has expired, and we have kept them waiting. We are saying there's no need to do that. And we try and show the municipalities those issues. Then they come back and said, but this one never even applied. Now you don't negotiate the law. You are able to say to them, unfortunately, they've never applied. There's nothing I can do. But people who have applied, you see, that's a legal standing that we have issued you with a license that's last 5 years. Now we have changed even now. We are saying, when you renew, we are issuing you with a license that takes 7 years. Now, we are saying, come and reapply at least 3 weeks before the expiry date. Now, those are the issues we say. If you have followed those processes and we have delayed you as government, we must also take accountability. And that is where we go to our counterparts and say, colleagues, we have a problem with renewals. These are the issues. Please, anybody who shows you their old permits and they are in receipt of renewal, please ignore those people. Don't impound them because they are still legal in terms of what we have delayed. And by the way, 99.9%, nobody who has renewed have been declined their renewal. So it's a guarantee that when you do the renewal, you are going to get it. By the way, it is these people that you are sitting with, that you are talking to from government, that are in government, that have been saying to their own officials, reapplications should not even take 2 days. It's an over-the-counter issue. When somebody comes, they produce the relevant documents, let them get their renewal so that they can go out there and run the business.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, thank you so much. It's very interesting. That last part, it gives me so much ease because we were having an issue where you apply for an operating license. You don't know what is going on. Some people here have been rejected on their operating licenses because they don't even know when to go back and ask. I was talking to one elder for industry a few days ago. I think yesterday, they were saying they went on the counter before you used to register to say I was here. But now they just spoke over the counter and they were told, it's not out and they had to leave. There is no proof that that elder was there. So if the operator's license comes out and no one is there, it's what? It's cancelled. So it's good to see that there's a leadership that wants to see innovation and move forward in the way that you're moving. Just a quick one, my leader from TITA. We are happy. Personally, I'm happy because the biggest issue that we have in the industry is unprofessional operators. People who are driving you with wearing hoodies, people who don't know how to run a business, because this is a business. People that don't know how to take care of clients. Because one customer that you pick up at Oaratam is going to go back to their country and say, oh, there was a good service from that particular service in the country. So it gives me joy to see you training these 100 people that are around here. But my other question was to say, since you're going through this training process of engaging these entrepreneurs, I heard you talk about compliance, I heard you talk about being formalized and so forth. At what extent are you taking these entrepreneurs? Are you forwarding to, are you just saying you've graduated, we've made your paperwork okay, go and look for the funding on your own, or you have negotiated? Because I'll tell you, if there's one thing not funded in this country, it's technology and vehicles in our platforms. It's very hard. Even on the Kumbi side, you can see these issues have affected also. The e-hailing is worse. If you look at the insurance that these guys are paying that are sitting here, it doesn't make sense. with the influx of vehicles that are there as well. So how best are you helping with some of those after training initiatives to make sure that they are full-blown entrepreneurs into the market?
No, thank you very much. I think let me start by saying training and development is very much underrated within the taxi subsector. And we believe that we can use training as a buying power. Just to give you a few examples, you know, if you go to an insurance company, as an example, and you say, I have this person who is driving for me, and you negotiate the premium, and you say to the insurance company, this driver of mine is not just an ordinary driver. This driver has got this qualification. He has been trained. This driver can look after my vehicle. And I assure you, through this certificate, this driver will be able to look after this car, therefore avoiding the number of potential accidents. That's a negotiating tool that, as businesses, we can use. And we are not taking advantage of that negotiating and bargaining tool. That is the first thing. And the second thing that I want to talk about, it is the issue of our history in relation to be obsessed with an operating license. Because working with TITA, if you bring your operating license and you need any form of funding, we want you to be a business. And we believe that when the operating license were introduced in the first place, they were introduced to stop the industry from being a going concern, being sustainable. Hence, before, people would say, I have an operating license, and they think that they are in business. But they are not going to be able to access any form of funding beyond an operating license. Hence, from TITA point of view, we said, let the taxi industry firstly take its rightful place by registering businesses that are registered with the Companies and Intellectual Property Commission, so that we can have the numbers, because currently we don't have the numbers for bargaining. Then, now that we have these drivers that have been trained, we are not looking at them as drivers. They're not drivers. They are now business people. And within their training, what they will tell you, if they will give testimony, was how, from here, how do I move? Now that I have a business, how do I manage this business? There are basic things of separating the person from the business. Having 2 bank accounts and recording every cent that you are spending on the vehicle. Be it buying KFC, be it, and when at home they ask you to buy bread, you must be able to separate. You say, I'm buying this in my personal capacity, or am I buying it from the business account? So what we are expecting is that the number of entities that have been trained now, they've got business owners, they will then come together under SAMTEA as an example, and SAMTEA then will be their umbrella body that is going to talk to us as TITA for further development, because we can't talk to every individual. Sure. So we would really like to have a united force, and we can have one mouth that we can talk to, and the proceeds can now be spread among the beneficiaries. Thank you.
Thank you. This is very informative. We strictly had to ask that question because you cannot have 200 or 500 people aligning at TITA. You need to belong. Like SAMTEA belongs under the council, Santaco. You guys need to belong. You need to be formalized. When I joined the industry, we knew that there were just companies in our meter taxi industry. We were not dealing with individuals. You belong to an association, but you must bring your what? Your company. We knew that you would call Basia Cabs from airport, and Basia, it was on the database. Remember, there was everything on one system where we would call. So we want to bring that back, but in a technology perspective. So I'm pretty much happy with that. Just a quick one, Director, so that we don't waste time. We're going to open maybe 2-3 questions from people inside that need to ask you certain questions. Quick. There is an issue that is never spoken about in this industry enough. Fortunately, I'm coming from that perspective. So companies that are running platforms, do they have a right, like what we have seen happening throughout the time? At some point, certain companies ended up issuing out operating licenses, which sparked, not to issue direct, but to write letters of recommendations and so forth. It sparked a huge issue into the industry amongst, it's a huge bone of contention that people end up saying, no, people want to take our business. You're a service provider, you're a tool, you are like this phone, but the SIM card belongs to a particular operator. You don't have an operator's license. How is the department going to look into these issues of how do they regulate platforms? It's a very important thing to note, to separate the operator and the platforms. How are you going to separate both of them so that there's no issue of taxi as 16,000 vehicles registered, but when we come to you, we tell you, oh no, we only have 2,000 vehicles registered. How are you going to integrate? Do you have certain APIs that you're going to integrate on platforms to monitor those systems? Thank you.
No, thanks for that question. Last night we had a meeting from 7:30 to after 11. One of the things outside that meeting, I can share it with you because you are going to know it anyway, is that we are going to put non-negotiables. So that's one principle that we have adopted. For apps, to say there are 2 categories of app platforms, for foreign and local. If we are saying protect local, what are you saying if you don't put negotiables? The MEC used the spaza shop approach to say, well, where we are now, because, and you'll hear her from now, because she said yesterday she's going to articulate this, that let's avoid that what is happening to the spaza shops now happen to our industry. And she will come. She's not shy to speak about it. She said to us, I want to see a quota that says, you can't compare me. If I'm a domestic or international, I may be, for example, she gave this example that you must say local, you don't have a quota of how many cars. The international, you are subjected to a quota. That's an example of the non-negotiables between the app companies and the rest, and also between the local and international app company. The other issue is how you regulate your labor relation framework between the local and the international. Remember, she is a proponent of promoting the local apps. So she started, it's not a secret that Shesha has a full support of the department, and therefore, without saying we're biased to this one, we say compete. But when we regulate, the regulations must be favorable or be biased to the local, and that's a position that we said we are not shy to communicate, emerging from last night's discussion. The second issue is that then you are going to say, what else? What is the role of the other departments in enforcing these negotiables? So while we say we don't want to put the law enforcement as our first line of defense, we must do everything that we have to do, and then law enforcement at the end of that. So that's an example of how we are going to do it different. But she said, besides non-negotiables, she says we are not shy about messaging about it. And in the regulations, we must be more clear about what is it that we want to. Again, this is something that I think through the consultations, you will tell us what is it that will work for you as local apps or as local operators, which you think disadvantages you against the international or foreign apps and operators, because it has 2 legs. There's app platforms, there's operators as well.
Oh, no.
But there are things that are very clear. If you want me to share more about it, Just
Yeah,
one more thing.
I think because of time, but you
Okay.
can share that one more
Yeah.
issue, yeah.
Is the requirements, you
Sure.
know, is the requirements that are there. So we're going to regulate and put additional requirements for international apps. We're very clear about it.
Sure.
So when we say the requirements of, we can't ask the same things we're asking from our local
Sure.
student. We're going to make more additional requirements so that we don't regulate you the same way.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting to hear because the points that you're raising also, where the Lehutla in 2020, these issues were raised. We spoke about the issue of supporting local platforms. We spoke about the issue of percentages that also need to be given, like, you know, that 51, 49% kind of thing with the international companies. So it's interesting to note, we needed to find out if the department is doing the same. Because of time, I'm going to ask those who've got questions, please just write them down because my boss there is telling me the time is out. Just write them down and we'll make sure that from SAMTEA's perspective, there will be more meetings like this in the future. Thank you so much, panelists. 2. Oh, okay, I've been given a privilege for 2. Just 2 people. Can I see hands? There's a gentleman there. There is no women in transport who want to ask a question. Let it be. Okay. Hey, Mema Zulu. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Women first, we start with you.
Okay, okay, good afternoon, everyone. Bapat, as we're here today, I'm very happy for what's happening. I don't want to take time. Baba Benito, just only one question. I don't know whether it's at the right time. Is there any means or ways or prints to help with the prizes? Thank you.
Is it understood?
Yes, understood. Thank you. Let's have the next question.
Thank you, Prince. Angazi lo mbuzo ukuthi uzophendula ubani, but if I'm looking at the industry itself, there is an issue of, due to the transaction between the driver and the app, when I get a request and I accept or I decline, there are factors that get into that. And to me, it triggers Section 200A of Labor Relations Act. So while you are doing the regulations, please, I'm sure you have to include the Department of Labor, because there's an issue of employer-employee relationship, which is now, it's not taken care of. Thank you.
Well noted.
That was a comment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
think the 2 questions are part of what we have said before. We'll include labor, economic development, and security cluster, economic cluster, when we finalize our regulation. So we'll take care of, and that's one of our burning issues, to say, how are these app platforms that are not local dealing with our labor laws? So we'll do a lot of work around that. And the pricing is also part of what we want to regulate. It must be in favor of the operators at the end of the day. We have a big fight with National on the subsidy issue. It's an issue that I think the MEC wants to take up, to say, let's really conclude the issue of subsidizing in terms of passenger, not in terms of mode. And that issue is coming. It's on our table. So one of the things, the big fights we are going to have in the 7th administration, it's about subsidizing all public transport modes, so that when we debate pricing, we're able to justify why and create a balance between subsidized public transport and the rest. So those are regulatory questions that I think they'll be answered but during the consultations, everybody will have a chance to contribute, to shape up what is ideal and workable and beneficial to the industry.
No, thank you so much, everyone. My last remarks would be to say we had a disruption that came. It's up to us. There's more disruptions that are coming. We are busy developing now. I think I speak to my leaders here. We are busy developing some other things to come and disrupt. We can't not wait for the next 30, 20 years to discuss these issues. Let us finalize them now. Let us participate. Leaders from regions, please take information back to your masses so people can hear that there is participations. Because what ends up happening is a leader just comes and then there is no participation. Thank you.
I think we can give them another round of applause. Thank you very much, leadership. I had hoped that the lunch was for networking, but it would appear we have a lot more networking. That needs to happen because a lot more people still have questions. So leadership, Babshang, it looks like we need to have more of these engagements so that the constituency is clarified. We're going to move into the next panel discussion. The topic reads like a master's thesis. It's titled Fleet Management, Cost Containment and Vehicle Financing Best Practices in Fleet Management and an Exploration of Vehicle Financing Options for Operators. This one is going to be facilitated by the project manager for SAMTEA, Mr. Sifiso Xaba. Let's give him a round of applause as he comes to the fore. And the panelists there will be Mr. Paul Carter from Renault, South Africa, Mr. Sizwe Bahlangu from Halfway Toyota, as well as Mr. Elias Musimanyana, Foster Toyota. Let's please give them a round of applause as they come to the fore. Let's give them another encouraging round of applause.
Right. I've got very interesting gentlemen on the stand or on the platform. And I'm looking at very curious individuals who I strongly believe are very interested in hearing from you gentlemen with regards to what can you put on the table, because they are ready and raring to go to own fleets. What is on the table that is geared towards assisting these entrepreneurs to access those vehicles, let me add, maybe at affordable rates. So before I can get into that, maybe let me give you gentlemen an opportunity to just say a few words before we can get into the question part with regards to introducing yourselves, so that at least the audience will be in the know who I have. I know that introduction has been made. Over to you, gentlemen. We'll start with you, Paul.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. For those I haven't had the privilege of meeting yet, my name is Paul Carter, and I'm the General Manager at Renault South Africa for all fleet operations.
Thank you very much, sir. So you are the head honcho, should we say?
Some people might call me that. I just consider myself as a car salesman, really. But yeah, all fleet operations, some people might say that.
Great stuff. Babu Mvubu, I'm not sure if you're around. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, Lochani. My name is Vusisizo Mahlangu. I am with Halfway Group. We have a number of, how can I say, maybe brands that are under our stable. We do have a long history with minibus taxi industry. And because of our entrepreneurial nature, when this opportunity emerged for us to strike up a relationship and a partnership with e-hailing, meter taxi, and other modes of taxi, we could not let the opportunity escape us. So we are so thankful for having us today.
Okay. Thank you very much, Pravus. I'm sure that there's quite a lot of people that are familiar with you from the Kumbi spectrum. Now we need to introduce you to the seven-seaters. We now need to introduce you to people that are looking for solutions, because I can see the eyes looking up here and saying, what are these guys going to say to us that will benefit our businesses, not tomorrow, now? I'm not putting pressure on you, Greg. Over to you, sir.
I'm Craig Foster. I represent Foster's Toyota. Foster's Toyota is in fact a family business, and yes, I am one of the owners. 42 years in business. From the 42 years, 41 years is in the taxi industry. When asked the question, how did you guys get into taxi? What made you go into the taxi operations was very simple. My grandfather was a taxi driver, not an owner, taxi driver. When we talk seven-seaters, if you don't know 42 years, Isuzu, the mini loaf, if you know it, was a six-seater. There's always been options, so this is not new to me. It's not new to the industry, and we continue to support the industry as best as we can. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Gentlemen, thank you very much for that intro. Without much further ado, I'm not going to follow the formalities, because I think the greatest question that will come from the floor, and having been part of the journey that they've taken to get to where they are, one of the key issues or one of the key challenges is, once you have established your business and you have ambitions to grow, it becomes difficult to access vehicles. It becomes difficult to finance vehicles by virtue of the system that part of us are involved in. Credit rating is an issue, so therefore you do not qualify to have access from a finance perspective, nor to go to fleet management companies to say, I'm looking for 10 vehicles. So I'm going to throw the challenge to you, gentlemen, with regards to that background, and to understand, how do we provide solutions? How do we make it easier for these business people to be able to say, yes, I have a record, however, I can work towards building my business. It should not be a stumbling block. Are the OEMs and dealers thinking along those lines as to how to assist these businesses to be able to now scale up their businesses, irrespective of their past? I know the past counts, but what platforms are available to assist them to access the vehicles at affordable rates? Sure.
I got these mics, so if I can go first, if I want to go back to what President Mr. Tsebe said earlier, first advice I'll give is unity. When anyone go into the 200 Toyota dealers in the country, or the additional Renault dealers in the country, you're walking in as one individual. Already it's a disadvantage. When you go in there and you represent a member of SAMTEA that has in fact been discussed with an OEM through a dealership, you have a better standing in the first fundamentals of buying your first vehicle. First thing is a discounted rate that is supported as a fleet owner in an OEM environment. So you don't have to drive to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 other dealers to get a good price. A good price means low installment. On your own, not everyone treats you the same. That's a reality, you need to accept it. as a united front, your voice, your power, so much better. You go on to the next one. It's insurance. And in individual, you are dictated. You are dictated to, this is what you're going to pay. And this is what your installments are going to be on insurance. When you are united, you have multiple brokers from multiple insurance companies that will in fact negotiate the rate specifically to SAMTEA's members. And lastly, when you are doing finance, as an individual, the rates that you get from the banks is exorbitant for no reason. Neutrally, I'm saying it because it don't make sense to me. There are plenty of businesses on the road daily, but it's a rate that is negotiated in the back, comes to the front, and the customer is forced to pay. The rates can be discussed as a group, but then the compliance kicks in, conform to certain criteria. So for me, the basic fundamentals starts with being united. Everything else will result into the same. Lower installment, lower interest rate, better negotiated prices with an OEM. Another thing, once that is arranged, it's advised that every owner in this room registers a company. When you register a company, like any other company, in the event that one of the partners in the company, be it husband, wife, something happens, automatically the company continues. Whereas an individual is deceased, the vehicle tend to be taken back. Even if the son, the daughters can continue to make that payment, they will still repossess that car because it's an individual and not a company.
Thank you, Craig. Provost, I know you're looking at me with very keen eyes. The podium is yours, sir, with regards to what can these entrepreneurs benefit from Toyota Halfway?
No, thank you so much. And, you know, not to really, you know, add much more onto what Craig has said. I think he said a mouthful when we speak about unity. I think it's probably a similar recipe that, you know, we're trying to inculcate in the minibus. But the previous panel, the moderator, or Prince, mentioned something as a passing comment, which I think applies to this question with the example that he gave about, you know, something more along the lines of first impressions last. You know, if you have a driver who's wearing a hoodie and is representing your business, it leaves some sort of an impression. So I think I'd like to take that same example to say that how industry, e-hailing, or maybe in this reference, because we had a SAMTEA conference, say that SAMTEA behaves at first glance, it's quite critical. So as Halfway, we've already been on the journey of assisting e-hailing, this sort of platform at its infancy. And we made a lot of interesting findings, and one of them that I think was a key takeaway was that, you know, integrity and being people of your word is something that is critical. Number one, to earn trust of those who are lending money to you or even assets, because as a company, we're that type of a company. And, you know, and yes, we also realize that there's certain difficulties in terms of maybe once we've agreed to say, okay, nasi skoloto sako, whatnot, in honoring repayments because of the nature of the business. But I would say one of the key things is integrity, being people of your word, credibility. Those are things that, speaking for Halfway, that are quite critical for us when we begin to engage with this sort of an industry. And we are quite open. We've gone as far as opening an internal finance house where we've done these, I can say in inverted commas, very risky deals because we did not know what the terrain looks like, you know. But we are trying, we are learning and growing with the industry. We've got lots of hits, we've got lots of misses as well. But the main thing is that what is embedded in our culture is that we'll give you a chance, but how you behave once the gentleman's agreement is in place is quite critical for us.
Thank you very much for that, sir. Because what I'm hearing from what you're saying is that you're looking for trustworthiness. And with that trustworthiness, you are open to the collaboration.
100%, because no one has given you the opportunity before. It's not like minibus who have got, it's quite established. Babzebe, they've got your OLs, which for us serves as some sort of a contract and whatnot. But one other last thing I would say, I think we missed an opportunity in having quite a critical stakeholder in this conversation, which is the finances. But it's something that we can still engage on. Have access to these people.
Sure, 100%. Thank you very much, sir.
So and I'm going to speak a little bit from a OEM head office point of view. Affordability in terms of people and company getting access to vehicles is definitely something that keeps us up at night. We have many meetings where we debate this, and we still struggle with a lot of solutions, because there's a critical element in this whole value chain that's called the bank. And the bank operates, we don't even know how, but they operate in their own way with their own scoring, and that's a very it's a big hurdle to get over. So what we try and do at a corporate or at a head office level is engage with, or we have partners, what we call corporate partners. So we have partnerships with, certain banks, certain leasing houses, and also organizations such as SAMTEA. And once we engage in those corporate partnerships and relationships, it's then easy for us to then extend our value proposition to everyone that's either a customer or belongs, to that organization. So just to put it in layman's terms, almost, our fleet value proposition will include things like preferential pricing, which Craig has touched on. It will include things like assistance in maintenance, and all of those small little elements that then add to the pot to help and reduce the ownership cost of the vehicle. But like what my colleagues have said, unity is probably one of the key factors, and belonging to a body or organization or corporation that on your behalf is going to enter into agreements with OEMs is probably valuable and vital.
Thank you very much, Paul, for that insight. I'm going to piggyback on what the President has said earlier with the call to action. And that call to action is a question that I'm going to pose at you. I know that you kind of, in your introduction and your engagement, you've put the ball back to the financiers. Now let's bring it in-house. What is it that you have available from a financing model or an assistance model that you are able to help these entrepreneurs when they are seeking and they are looking at acquiring vehicles? What can you speak to that is available now at Renault, at Toyota, that they can start engaging you on?
So from a Renault perspective, when it comes to the first acquisition, is our fleet customers, we've got a discount structure that's unique to all of our fleet customers. Once you're registered and approved as a fleet customer, there's money that's available to you to purchase vehicles that wouldn't ordinarily be available to the normal retail consumer. So that's quite a big advantage from an acquisition point of view. From a maintenance point of view as well, we've also got certain programs where we allow you preferential pricing and parts. We allow you also assistance with goodwill and all those after the sale, cost items that will affect your total ownership cycle. But the biggest value about being an approved fleet customer, especially at an OEM point of view, is the discounts that we have to offer an acquisition. And those vary, according to, number one, how nice you are to me. I'm just joking. But yeah, those, vary according to obviously the size of the fleet and, the deal structures at the time.
Thank you.
Yeah, so in addition to everything that Paul has said, but from a Toyota perspective, because I think from the vehicle space, and the guys will agree, our packages will be more or less the same. But from a halfway Toyota perspective, I think one of the things that we're able to do, let me take the halfway Toyota cap off and say halfway group. We've got a range of models and vehicle brands that are available to us that customers are able to pick from. And I think we don't sell vehicles to the industry for the sake of selling, so that we can push ourselves. But we look at things like quite expert advice in terms of the right vehicle for the right job. I mean, we look at things like the type of engines and specs that would be able to make your purchasing quite reasonable and quite affordable. And we really pride ourselves in aftermarket service and that support. So we have, I don't know if I'm able to say their names here because I think we're streaming, but the U company, you'll know them. They are U and they are black. But then, so we've got an agreement with them whereby I think for the past 2 years or so, another company came and took them away, offered them something better. But we're able to put in a system whereby they would purchase from us, take delivery from us at a fleet level, and then every day they are coming in to service their vehicles. They don't need to book for a service. They just come and line up there. We give the driver owners or the owners, whatever's needed for them to survive for the day. But it's just turning like that. So another aspect that we have is our internal financing, which is also dependent on the type of customer that we have, whether they're coming in a group or as an individual, and insurance. But I think Oscar will speak about that a bit. We've got an insurance broker internally where we're able, with the assistance of the likes of CTU and other companies, be able to structure tailor-made agreements for SAMTEA. So I think we are quite open for business, and we are ready to onboard. You can reach me through Babumvubu no Babshani. I'm scared if I give my email, they'll hit me. So yeah.
Thank you, sir. Craig?
Okay, for us, we know as business owners, you want to know now what are you making. You don't want to be hidden with surprises. So for us, what we do is specifically, and again, I'm talking for Foster's Toyota. Also Foster's, we pretty much nationwide. If you look at vehicles, Eastern Cape, KZN, Joburg, we are based in Joburg. But what we have done already with associations and specifically taxi, installment comes out to about 16,500 before insurance and before all of the above. And that creates a massive concern. So what you do is you individualize it, and there's nothing the individual is you don't have a choice, so you take it. When you have an association present, we negotiate what they refer to as a schemed rate. Schemed rate pretty much means that with the association members, instead of getting a rate that's over that amount, you pay about 12,500 a month for a taxi. With insurance, negotiated about 1,700 Rand. With all your other additional premiums, it's under 15,000. That is an immediate benefit to your planning, knowing how much you're going to have to pay, knowing how much you're actually going to earn, and how much you're going to have at the end of the month. That to me is the most important. That don't happen afterwards, it happens before. And when it's before, you do it as a combined association. On your own, as I'm sitting here, the banks will not allow it. As an entire association, you'll get reduced rates.
Great, thank you very much. From what I'm hearing, the offer is on you. People on, you are open. They are open for business. With that being said, I will allow 3 questions. I will allow 3 questions to the panel. I've got one hand there. There is a second hand at the back. One last question. Going once, going twice. Going thrice. Okay. We've got two questions. We will start with the gentleman at the back.
Sanbon, question yami izobhekisa ekuthenini mhlawumbe abafowethu abakwipanel kukhona into esingayi-address la mhlawumbe saba kuyisho. Most of us sikuma credit bureau, we do not qualify even for ama-discount lawo enwashoyo. Nanoma singahlangana sithi sifuna a discount, negotiate prices, we won't even get to that point. So now, some of the solutions esiyayisiwathanda ukuthi enzeke ilawo ofana nokuthi mhlawumbe do you have a lease to buy, rent to buy sort of a product that will not require one to qualify for a credit before they can acquire the car. You understand ukuthi every time when the car, the question here to acquire the cars is answered ngenye indlela ukuthi it does not really address our problems esinawo la, because we know ukuthi we've been in the industry, yaba nama distractions akhona, we ended up last in the corner, but we want to trade, we want to acquire cars, we want to acquire fleets. So that is the option that we need actually. Now, most of us, we need that option.
Okay.
I think they can answer as I go to the next one.
Okay. Are we good with the question?
It's fine, I'm here.
Thank you. You know, Tina, as SAMTEA, we want to do things different. We're also saying we want to be part of the value chain. We are tired of being consumers. And one thing that our country needs now is skills. So we want the skills within us as well. So we would like to propose programs whereby some of us here are taken for skills development in terms of servicing the cars and all of that. Because ultimately, we want to own workshops where we service our own cars. So would you be willing to support such programs that SAMTEA will be negotiating on behalf of their members? Thank you.
Paul, I see you are eager to go.
Stage fright. Okay, so to answer the first question with the gentleman at the back there. You're quite right. Affordability is a very big thing in the market nowadays. And as OEMs, we've realized that a lot of people don't meet whatever the bank's certain credit score and criteria is, which makes vehicle ownership quite difficult. So from an OEM point of view, we have definitely engaged. So Renault, unfortunately, we don't have any in-house financing. But we've got a lot of partnerships with banks and also with rent-to-own companies, as you've mentioned, where there's no, stringent credit approval requirements that you have to go through. In a lot of cases, maybe a deposit of sorts might be required, but that's where we come to the party and say, if you require a deposit as part of your discount structure, we will then factor that in, so at least that there is money to cover that. So that's something that we've seen a huge growth in. Not too much on the fleet side, I must admit. On the passenger side, definitely. We've probably seen about a 25% growth just in the last 2 years alone of people going for rent-to-own financing options. And then just to the second question, so yes, you're quite right. Being part of the value chain is critically important, and nowadays the after-sales side of the business is actually where a lot of the value lies. Also, with this new right to repair policy that's been implemented, it's really forced us as OEMs to think different, look at the after-sales model differently. and naturally empower people to do that. From a fleet perspective, with some of our bigger fleets, you know, when we sell to, call it rental companies, they don't necessarily come back into our dealership to service and maintain their vehicles, but what we've done is we've put certain structures in place where we empower them to manage their own maintenance. You know, obviously there are certain things that you'd need to adhere to, you know, buying, you know, certain parts to make sure that they're correct for the vehicle. But we do come to the party where, number one, we offer, you know, training and guidance. And also you'll have access to our sort of technical team to diagnose any, you know, technical problems that you might not have the skill and the training to do. And also on that, as I mentioned earlier, offering, you know, all the preferential parts and everything that you need. So it's something that we have really thought about and approached very differently since Right to Repair actually came into effect.
Prabhus, before you go, Paul, thank you for that. So, in short, the answer to Mr. Mabote is yes. The answer to Mr. Shanga is yes.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
To both gentlemen, it's yes, following on your cue. To Mr. Mabote, I would like to say, I think definitely speaking for Halfway, we have a program whereby I think we can onboard your children. I heard someone speak about, you know, why our children not interested in, you know, being part of the industry. We've got a program whereby annually we onboard children into various departments within our business, and if you know, that sort of aftermarket servicing is one of them, with certainty we can. The gentlemen have my numbers and they know where our office is, so we can definitely look at that. And then in terms of question ephuzwa ubhuti lapha, hey kwanzima mfethu nani ikhona le nkinga, ngiyazi ku 16 ikhona. So what I can say is, as Craig said, unity. So the power is with this association that you are with, or this grouping that you are with, which is SAMTEA. So, I mean, if we sit around the table and be able to speak and see how we can cover those who are not able to get credit, I'm sure, I think they would know with the owners of the business. We're quite open to have that discussion. But we've also got a rental vehicle in-house where we'd probably be able to see how we can accommodate some of those cases as in Jalo, where people are not able to afford credit. So we can have a look and see if we can do that rent to own sort of a model. But it won't be, you know, it will probably be maybe different for each individual or on a different case. But we are certainly open to it. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Provost, because that gives hope, because at the end of the day, what was raised by Babu Shange is a reality of the majority of South Africans. Craig, 2 minutes, because I can see us, Rebecca, is about to kick us off the stage.
So what the gentleman to my right have said, correct. Just something to take note of. When you're entering into the market, income needs to be generated. Each operating license is regarded as an income route calculator. Don't forget that. So when you are buying your first vehicle and you're entering the business, you're going to find that my accounts might not be earning an income, but your actual permit negotiated with the bank is a route calculator that justifies your income for that vehicle. Thank you.
Gentlemen, I applaud you, firstly, for being here. I applaud you for engaging with these entrepreneurs, because this is a collaboration that we as SAMTEA are fostering, that it's not just training, but it's also empowerment. And we providing platform where people, when they want to go, the channels and platforms are in place. With that being said, can we give the panel a round of applause? Rebecca, thank you. I hope I did not take too much of your time.
You did, but it's fine. Thank you. Let's give them a round of applause. I'm fascinated. This is the only panel after every speaker you were clapping hands. What is it? Is it the twang? Or were they really speaking profound things? Ke kulentse le betha matsoho. What was happening? Chelete. Ah, okay, bona taba ya lena. No worries. The next panel will be facilitated by ex-Uber country manager and head of development at Umuzi, that's Mr. Ndudu Zonyanda, and it will be discussing managing and mitigating risk in e-hailing risk management strategies, including vehicle insurance, legal risks, and operational challenges. The panelists there, perhaps let's first welcome the moderator, Mr. Nyanda. Please come to the fore. He's not here. So you are facilitating. Okay. The National Deputy Chairperson, Mr. Shange, will be facilitating instead. Let's give him a round of applause. And on the panel, I hope people don't think this is nepotism, Bab Shange. Mr. Sabelo Shange from SAMTEA, who'll be talking about driver recruitment and operations. Please come. It's a family business. The president said that the taxi industry is a family business. It must be in the family. So wives, children, everyone, we are here. All of us. Let's give him a round of applause. Oh, it's you. Oh, I hope you're going to grill him as well with the questions, because I saw him coming in hard there. Mr. Oscar Chabalala from CTU, who will talk to us about short-term insurance. Please come to the fore. Let's give him a round of applause as well. And Tuli Lemhlongo from Altrack, talking about vehicle tracking. Please come to the fore as well. Is it you? No, it's not. Is Tulile here? Oh, she's not here. Okay, that's fine. And the PRO of SAMTEA, Mr. Tato Ramaila, who's going to talk to us about safety and security. Hey, you do it all, safety and security as well. Let's give him a round of applause, please. And Ms. Refilwe Mungale to talk to us about road safety from RTMC. Is she here? Not here. No problem. Let's give our panel a big round of applause, please.
Oh, SAMTEA, viva SAMTEA, viva. Upundima. Upundima. Limbeta upi.
And BK in Glove.
Limbeta upi.
Now.
Nangu, cala nimnikeze bike. Awusinikeze umuntu nje, serious kakhulu. Abantu sebebuka amafoni manje, serious kakhulu. SAMTEA soSantaco. We are active. Before nje siqala la ndima
Okay, there's a microphone I left. SG, can you take it there, please? Yeah, thanks. He's there at the back. Is BK still here? BK, please come. You will touch on some of that work. I think I see you're doing a thumbs up, so you're fine. I love flexible people. Okay.
Asiya ndima.
Babushangi.
Noma ngabe izinto zodaka.
Ngiyabingelela babushangi ishile voice yami babushangi. Ishile babushangi voice yami ishile impela. Yabona ngabe sekhona engikushile ishile.
Awusiqedile.
Ishile.
Hayi ke. Kuno president la.
Babushangi ngiya-understand ukuthi ngino president. Inkinga ivoice yami lokhu yashe Northwest. Noma ngabe izindle zodaka. Anti abantu nibonga. Noma ngabe izindle zodaka.
Noma ngabe izindle zodaka.
Nina noma ngabe izindle zodaka.
Noma ngabe izindle zodaka.
Oba kusekhaya la. Oba kusekhaya la. Oba kusekhaya la. Oba kusekhaya la. Wema. Beba noma ngabizinde zotaka. Beba noma ngabizinde zotaka. Beba bakusekhaya la. Beba kusekhaya la. Wema.
Nazoke. No, leadership.
Noma ngisale sengisho babshanga mina ngitshengise manje ngiphinde ngikhulume lapha. Sithi la sithi we baba sithi ati la 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 sithi la la baba sithi ati la 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 sithi ay bo Baba City City la 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 Baba City Amanda! Viva SAMTEA, viva! Viva! Viva SAMTEA, viva! Viva!
No, leadership, sibonga ndima ngimfostile. No, yithike lapho. As much as we formalize, but isiqi sinaso. And ngeke sisibeke eceleni, sohlala siyithi. Asingene endabeni. No, I just want to start with okay, I'm going to mix isiSotho ngiyasikhuluma isiSotho. I'm going to mix isiSotho nesiZulu ne. I'm just going to start with company CTU. CTU, we are an industry that is partly not formalized, in a sense that if we buy cars, they get involved in an accident. And while we are in an accident, you're not earning from that car. So meaning that we are being compromised as a business because of you are not able to pay the installment if you got a car from the bank. So in that way, the bank does not say just because you are not operating, you mustn't pay me. So now, in our industry, as we collaborate and make partnership with relevant stakeholders like yourself, what you do say about that? Is there a chance that you can work on a package that can speak to that? Because of many people are out of the business because of that kind of challenges.
Good afternoon to everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity and that question. I think before I just delve into a response to that specific question, I think it's important to understand value insurance. The value of insurance is, number one, to take the client back into the position they were in before the loss. The other value proposition in insurance is that it ensures business continuity. We've seen operators that have gone under simply because you had a financed vehicle that did not have insurance and you still had a big liability to the bank. So the concept of insurance is ukuphelezela as you journey to grow your business. So that's the first thing. From a CTU perspective, I think those are some of the risks that we've identified. In the event that your vehicle is involved in an accident,
what sort of response can we have as a responsible corporate? And I think it's important to highlight that a lot of our covers have basically been developed by Imboni. Imboni has come through and has said there's a gap here, and we've responded accordingly. So the first cover we have specifically to that, it's an individual cover, but to your point, we can package it specifically for SAMTEA as part and parcel of your comprehensive. It's what we call an installment protector. So in the event of a claim, we then agree that we will pay out a certain amount dependent on what your installment is with the bank, and we make good for a period of 2 to 3 months. That's something that we can negotiate. That's number one. So it's something that is specific to the installment. But it's also important to appreciate that that's not the only financial commitment you have. There are other operational costs that just because the vehicle imile as mang, we have what is called loss of income. So in the main, what happens is post the authorization of a claim, kunemali that you get paid out as imoto isamile. So we've got those offerings that we can bundle and embed as part and parcel of the comprehensive insurance. We can put together a bespoke solution for SAMTEA.
Thank you very much. Nimzwile leadership. Nimzwile 10 is up to us to build up a package, economy insurance. And then let me move to you, Mr. Ramai Letatu. I just want to ask you, my leader here, in terms of safety and security, we know that the drivers have been compromised, and it comes from the customer point of view, or people who are posing as customers, robbing the drivers and hijacking and all that. After the program, SAMTEA, what would you suggest that we go forward to concentrate on drivers' safety and making sure that the drivers are actually taken care of in as far as safety is concerned?
Thank you, Mr. Shange. You know, the saddest thing about the industry of e-hailing is a lack of information and publicity that is going on. It will shock a lot of you that on daily basis, there's a driver that is being killed, murdered on daily basis, hijacked, wounded. So is the clients. And those are issues that end up in only WhatsApp communications, and nobody ever does anything. Until recently, where most people saw that incident that happened in Yuval, I believe, where a driver was executed for nothing. And such things, people assume it started now, but we have actually endured a lot of those incidents. But that is not the end of it. I would personally say unity is the first concept that we need as an industry. The mushrooming of all the organizations and technologies that are competing on each other, collaboration would actually speak to the community of e-hailing. E-hailing is not a singular business that you can run on your own, but it's already a community on its own that we need to coexist and work together. I don't want to mention a certain area to avoid saying that I'm marketing it, but we are running a concept of security there, and we collaborated with the SAPS in the community. To a point that we drove the statistics, which I can't say because they say statistics belongs to the minister. So, but we dropped about 28% of the hijacking and serious crimes in that particular area. And not only of hijacking and murders, but the collaboration, how did we achieve that? The e-hailing industry on its own is the most powerful tool of communication that the SAPS is now using to get information. When a vehicle is hijacked and you give it to one group of e-hailing, I can tell you in the next 5 minutes, 10,000 or to 100 people will know what happened. And drivers will even identify a vehicle. They will even find a car before tracker does. So what we need to emphasize on and roll out plan on our side is to unite the industry, do not reject anyone, make sure we find a way how we work together, regardless if we do have, the main thing is we have a common idea, but we come from different parts of the world. Let's accept each other for who we are and protect South African image in the business.
Thank you, my leader. I'm coming to Mr. Ndlovu. Mr. Ndlovu, many of the speakers here have spoken about the disruption in the industry, and they even mentioned, making an example with the spaza shops. There's been many protests from the e-hailing drivers complaining about various issues and as far as seeking the attention from government. I just need to know from your side, do you think the government has done enough to respond to the cry of the industry in as far as their concerns within the industry itself, and also to avoid a situation of this puzzle shop whereby now we get caught by the events in a way that people are now fed up with the pace of government. Do you have any measures in place to respond to that? Thank you.
Yes, I think CD spoke about it earlier, that it's, yes, people will always get, what you call this, impatient on certain issues, but there's work that is being done by government in terms of to end to focus on the violence, especially when it comes to public transport. Hence, there's some steps that we are taking as a department to get back the traffic officers so that we can have a targeted approach in terms of how to approach especially e-hailing and meter taxis, in terms of how to protect and make sure that everyone works well in a conducive environment. But however, my duty and champion in the department is road safety. So hence, when we speak about road safety, it was just 2 weeks ago at a road safety conference where we spoke about many stats affecting road safety. But what we are finding interesting is that when it comes to Uber itself, when you look for the stats, you can't find it specifically because of no marker in terms of that identifies us on that about the form of transport. So hence that also is affiliated to back to what you were saying, that you can't mark them now because of lawless and also the fights that are happening or the killings that are happening with Uber drivers. So hence it's a very important and critical point that the department is focusing on now. Thank you.
Just to follow up a question there on that one. Since we have SAMTEA now as a mouthpiece that is now formalizing the industry, and just started right now, he said the information within the network platform of the e-hailing itself, that's the quickest way of sharing information. Should we then say the SAMTEA is now making it easy for the government to be able to communicate and respond to these issues?
Yes, to an extent. Remember, what we must remember is that technology helps us to fix the shortfalls that we see. So in any case that we find technology, for instance, a simple thing as maps. In other countries, maps was a simple formulation or the development of maps or routings in that area helped the community to assist them in terms of where crime was happening, where there was shortfalls in terms of lighting, street lighting, and where the dangerous routes were. And that happened because of technology. So in each and every case where technology is found, it closes gaps or shortfalls. So even now when we speak about, in government we speak about now about the integrated transport system, once everything is being able to be integrated into software and technology, we will find that actually the fight against crime will be much easier. So we cannot stress more enough the inclusiveness of technology. When I can get into Bolt through an app, I can get into meter taxi through an app, I can leave it and enter, I can book a place in a minibus taxi through just an app. That in itself, the constituency from one form to another, through an app, also identifies the shortfalls of infrastructure, law enforcement, and even itself crime. Thank you.
Thank you, leadership. Let me come back to you, Sabelo. I want to talk about recruitment of drivers, training of drivers and the operations. Since SAMTEA has introduced this program, what would you say in as far as looking at the driver and operations and the earnings responding to this program? Because we hear a lot of drivers saying they're not earning much and the pricing is affecting their earnings, and they're complaining about many other issues in as far as driver owner is concerned. Since now we are moving to fleet owners and the administration, what would you say?
Sanibona. Angikho sure ukuthi isikhathi enough ngingakusho kodwa ngizozama ukuthi ngibe mfishane. I will try to be short. The whole operation yethu thina aba-operator ngemoto ezincane, the whole operation of people who are operating with small cars, first of all, it be wrong kakhulu from the beginning, because we didn't know when we were starting. We started as owner drivers, as we are trying to convert people from being owner drivers to be fleet operators or entrepreneurs who are going to operate a fleet. Bazazi ukuthi base businessini. I will make an example ukuthi umuntu oyi-owner driver uyakwazi ukuthi athathe imoto yakhe aye esontweni, aye emoli, aye kuphi, and then you'll find ukuthi imoto you don't even know whether le moto family or eyokusebenza noma eyani. But when you go to abantu abafana namakhumbi, abantu bamakhumbi, they know exactly ukuthi imoto eyani. You'll never find ikhumbi isestolo somewhere, isemoli, isesontweni ihambisa umnikazi wayo, ibulala ama-hour lawo engabe iyasebenza emgwaqweni. Kodwa thina ngeyimoto ezincane siba confused because iyimoto ezincane we take them as private cars. So now we want to change as SAMTEA that mentality. Just because you guys are operating small cars, you think they are your private cars. They are not, they are business. Even ubaba lapha ngazi ubaba ukhadebe yini. Ubazi wathi hawu ushanga ukuthi singayi ngemoto zethu esontweni. Cha, akuyona imoto yakho yebusiness. Fanele uchoose ukuthi eyakho noma yebusiness now. Uyabona? So as far as ilokhuzana operation is concerned, we want to change the mentality completely from ukucabanga ukuthi imoto yakho hamba ngeenyawo, thatha imoto uyise ku driver isebenze, bengabe off ayiye komunye u drive isebenze 7 days. Yabo? Okay, progress esesiyenzile. I think the 100 who are going to graduate, they understand this well. The language has changed. They understand it. And even some of them are even pestering us, hey, how far are you guys with recruiter drive? So we have started, and I'm glad to abantu betitha bakhona because they did promise us ukuthi they are going to actually assist us with training drivers. But the program has started to acquire drivers, to train them, and to make them ready. Because our drivers are not going to be the same as any other driver or driver in normal group. Our driver knows what we target every day. Is monitored on a daily basis. There's a target for a week. There's a target for a driver. There's a target for a car. These things are not the same. You are not a machine as a driver. You can go and rest. Kodwa ihambi imoto nawe ukuthi uyoresta nawe. When you hambi uyoresta imoto iqhubeka isebenze ngomunye driver. So we maximize. We maximize when it comes to revenue and income. We want to maximize. If we say a day we want to make 1.5, you must think twice. Bengabe upaka imoto la ngaphandle or attend even this meeting. Ukuthi I'm losing 1.5 njengoba imoto ipakela ngaphandle. Le ngabe iyasebenza. Uyabona? So i-shift fanele sicabange as a cash flow ukuthi the cash flow that is coming in. Ungayiphazamisi wena as umnikazi webhizinisi ngoba wena uthi imoto yakho awazi ume yakho noma yebhizinisi na. Uyabona? So in terms of recruit driver, we are doing very well. Ngicela ukulokhuzana uMandlovu hey ufikile washintsha izinto lapha ne-recruitment ama-driver angazi ukuthi wenzani umagic wakhe. She's a hard worker, that one. Yabo. So we are on our way ekuthenini abantu bathola ama-driver, not just any driver, a driver who's ready, who knows ukuthi imoto iyasebenza. Not these drivers abathi bona imoto kufanele ikhokhele u-2,000 iviki lonke. Imoto esazobhatalwa leyo, imoto esazoba nama-expense leyo. Then how are we going to speak to labo babade belana ukuthi no, we need a package, because it does not even begin to make us afford those cars because we are not serious about the business.
No, thank you very much. We're going to allow for questions. I think, Sister Rebecca, through you, we can have 3 questions to the panelists.
I thought Mandlovu must stand so we see them. They said she does
Yes,
phenomenal work.
yes.
Please, Mandlovu. No, it's fine. Mandlovu, everyone.
Good afternoon, entrepreneurs. Yeah, my question will be directed to the insurance consultant. Yeah, I don't know. Most of the time we regard insurance as our protection. But you will only realize when you are involved in an accident that protector will turn into your enemy. In a sense that you will think that when you go and claim, things will go the way you were there when you were signing for a deal. Because when you sign for a deal, they will give you this big book and they say sign here, sign here, sign here. But when you go back to claim, they're gonna go to the small portion with fine prints. They say 1, 2, 3. And when you were signing for a deal, that was not mentioned. So, my leader, are you going to be able to get your sales department to sit down with us when we take out the insurance? To leave all this sign here, sign here, sign here, we go to this small portion of the fine prints and say these are the do's and the don'ts. That when we are involved in an accident, I must just know that before I go to claim, this is my fault. Thank you.
Is there another one? Before I give Mama, they're going to say, I like you too much. I'm coming.
Good afternoon. I just want to ask a question on the basis of, since we are talking that we do not want an issue of sponsorships in the e-hailing sector, you will find that some of the, let me say, guys who are foreigners, they marry South Africans and then get South African citizenship. So if, let's say, a foreigner marries a South African lady or vice versa, are they going to be allowed to also carry a permit?
Sanbonan, Khotso. I just want to question Mr. Mailore. On the issue of safety, how quick are they, since we said there's a certain area, how quick are the police on the matter of hijacking, on the issue of e-hailing, and also again, I just want to know much more about, or does SAMTEA do training for such e-hailing drivers for that, in order to knowledge and how to avoid such incident of hijacking? Thank you.
Babshange?
No, let me start with Mr. Ramaile.
Thank you, sir. Ngithanda i-question kabhuti yokuqala ngicela ukuthi kancane bese ngikhulele kwakababa lemu. One thing I think in the leadership, mostly, Nalawangaziyo, I'm very, very unapologetic. In any organization that I serve in as a leader, I will not sell any South African to a non-compliant South African. And any organization that we serve, I don't think we will push for non-South Africans who are non-compliant to be raised above South Africans. I'm unapologetic about that. And I believe even the leadership that I work with from SAMTEA's point of view and the Gauteng e-hailing services, we have been very strongly believing in that. That South Africans first before any other. And that's how we protect one another as leadership and we grow each other in our own business. This is not a special skill business. Just needs your driver's license and your permit and your discipline. So with that being said, I don't think even the government, should they roll out such a plan, while I'm still sitting somewhere in leadership, just know I need you as a soldier. And jump into the second question here, Ntatele Tlotlo. I think I've discussed this with many leaders. The response is very fast. How we worked around it. We spoke to the colonel who was holding the whole police stations in our area. And what we did is this. We have a WhatsApp group. In the WhatsApp group, we've got cops that are specifically tasked to deal with all the crimes in the e-hailing in our region, our sub-region. Now, what we do is, any information that the e-hailing drivers, even if it's not reported at the police station, any e-hailing driver that reports any hijacking or any business robbery or any kidnapping of any sort, immediately we activate it on WhatsApp. Those cops, they work 24/7 only to serve the association in my sub-region. And that asked also to say, how are we going to do it as SAMTEA? Unity. We need to open doors for all associations and organizations and implement strategies that put people's lives first before money. We need to protect the drivers. We need to protect the clients. That is the most fundamental, crucial thing that we need to do. And for us to achieve that, we need also with the technology, as Uput Asholana. There's so many things that we can do with the government. That e-hailing, the traffic that is causing on the road and the apps, it can be a mechanism of communication and also of video surveillance. That can assist the state as a must, especially when we have organizations like SAMTEA, that all our members that we have, we advance the technology of communication, also of video capturing, so that we assist the state in any investigations, unlike the so-called companies who was mentioning to say, when you're looking for information, they are not compiled because of this is not their country in the first place. So they don't have best interest in solving anything. But us as being the local and the governors of our people, we will be happily to give such information and make sure that we advance our country in technology and economical infrastructural developments. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Time is not on our side. We just have 1 minute to go. I just need to give a chance to CTU to respond. When we sign, when you have to get the money from us, we all smiley and we even get tea and coffee. But when you have to pay, and then there's a fight. This is general with insurance, not yourself, but with insurances. Thank you.
Thanks. Shish, I think it's always challenging to respond to the question because I think we as CTU, I think CTU would not be around for this long, if we didn't honor the commitment to paying claims. I think part of what continuously keeps us in business is our reputation. But I think I do recognize and accept that there's been pockets of experiences where people have not been happy with how AMA claims have been handled. I think it's important to understand that when you enter into a contract of insurance, remember, as business people, you cannot have an expense that you service every month, but you do not understand the perimeters of how that particular commitment works. So there are obviously terms and conditions, and generally what you are finding is that there is a violation of a certain condition, which ultimately leads to a repudiation or a rejection. I can report that in the last 12 months, CTU has paid up to just under 400 million rand in claims, with the lowest rejection rate, which is less than 1%. CTU has demonstrated enormous commitment to servicing Imboni. Let me articulate. I know we have a minute. We've changed our policy wording to speak to other indigenous languages, to simplify them. And I think what is also worth mentioning is that over and above all of those efforts, there are avenues that people can employ or look to if Abeko happy with the way that a claim was handled. There's the ombudsman. We talk about compliance in this forum. We are heavily regulated. So firstly, we talk about how we conduct ourselves at sales. How we sell an insurance policy is legislated. So if you are sold an insurance policy and a corner imgomo obunga understand, as an insurance company, the regulator looks at us and say, what steps did you take to ensure that the client understands this? So you can take us to task. The reason I'm sharing all these avenues that are at your disposal is so that you can hold us accountable. So it's not a case of which we repudiate a claim and off we go, it's business as usual. No, doesn't work like that. We are held accountable. There's the ombudsman that you can consult and say, I'm not happy with X, Y, Z. And there'll be obviously a proceeding where we are able to defend our position and you are able to advance your position. But the point that I'm trying to make as well is that a lot of the panelists spoke about the value of unity, the value of pooling. It's important that you use your muscle to create schemes with insurance companies. What's the value of that? Preferential pricing, consistent rules. Ngeke si repudiate claim gababa, si approve a claim gababa under the same circumstances. Ni industry auto. So if we've approved this claim, under the circumstances, we should approve a yaki. So the point that I'm trying to make is that it's always, challenging to respond to the question where, the impression is that we are trying to renege on a promise. The reality is, an insurance policy is a contract. Mausaina, you basically undertake that, Mina, as the policy holder, I will make good on the monthly premiums, but I will also honor certain terms and conditions. If those terms and conditions are not honored, unfortunately, the claim will not be paid. But more than happy that we also look at, again, as I mentioned, schemes, where you as the industry can carve out your own solutions. This term and condition, you got an excess. Why do you want to charge me an excess if you're not having a savings? All of those things. So those are some of the things that are at your disposal where you can obviously try and change how insurance works.
Okay. Babshange, we are completely out of time. Completely.
No, thank you, leadership. We're still going to engage in terms of the networking and all that. Thank you, Bashali Zandra. It's consistent.
Secretary General of SAMTEA, Mr. Eugene Mwejana, come close to me as you do that. I'm going to acknowledge the structures that we've got, the representatives of the provinces, so that even the president has a proper understanding of who is amongst us. Delegates from KZN, are you here? You are very audible. KZN, are you here? Please stand. Can all the delegates from KZN stand so that the leadership can see us here? Ooh. Let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you. Thank you very much. Delegates from the host province, Gauteng province, are you here? Please stand. Please stand. A big round of applause for Gauteng. We also have delegates from Free State. Please stand, delegates from Free State. Let's give them a big round. Northwest is also in the house. Please stand, Northwest. Let's see you. Bukoni Bupirima. And I'm told the delegates from KZN, you had fun at the lake yesterday. Is it true? Eh? Eh? At the networking session, KZN. Okay, ngizozama ukukhuluma isiZulu ke. Izolo kuthiwa ni, what is to have fun in Zulu? Bekunevava vuma izolo bathi hayi benhleli kahle ngithi iqiniso na. Siyabuyela ke nizositshengisa nini ukuthi benikuphi izolo. Ne? I think I've tried. Okay, the Secretary General, please close for us by giving us a roundup of the themes, and then immediately afterwards, the gentleman who prayed for us, please also just come quickly to close, and then we'll be done. Thank you. SG, with a round of applause.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Rebecca. I normally have a loud voice, but whenever I tell people that I'm actually a shy character, they get very confused because normally I'm a loudspeaker. Program Director, Ms. Rebecca Pala, thank you for your distinguished service. Distinguished guests, leadership from across our provinces, and all delegates gathered here today. President, SG, Slalo, and all leadership that I haven't mentioned, all protocols observed. It is an honor to deliver the closing address as we reflect on a day filled with meaningful discussions, visionary ideas, and actionable insights aimed at shaping the future of urban mobility in South Africa. This conference has once again underscored our shared commitment to transforming the e-hailing and meter taxi industry into models of innovation, safety, and excellence. The conversations we've had today reaffirm that united we can overcome challenges and unlock opportunities that benefit our communities and the broader economy. Like we always say, challenges offer opportunities for growth. We began the day with a warm welcome from our Program Director, Ms. Rebecca Pala, followed by a prayer led by Mr. Chanduko Ramulwela, setting a purposeful tone. The welcome address by our National Chairperson, Mr. Sizwe Mvubu, and remarks from the President of SANTACO, Honorable Mr. Abnatsebe, provided us with a clear roadmap and a sense of unity. Before I continue, it is important that one acknowledges leadership even from a ground level. As we reflect on the contributions made, I want to acknowledge and thank the provincial leadership and delegates from across the country. Northwest Province, your consistent presence and input are vital to our national efforts. Gauteng Province, the dynamic role you play, especially in integrating women in tourism and advancing the urban mobility ecosystem, is invaluable. KwaZulu-Natal, your leadership and passion for driving compliance and safety is an example for all of us. Western Cape, thank you for your innovative approaches and dedication to fostering progress within our industry. Free State, your commitment to advancing transport solutions for smaller communities enriches the national conversation. Gratitude to the Gauteng women in tourism. I also wish to extend our heartfelt gratitude to Gauteng women in tourism for their unwavering support and willingness to work closely with us. Your emphasis on fostering a communal atmosphere and inclusivity within the spheres of mobility is inspiring. Together, we are creating a space where collaboration is not only encouraged, but celebrated. We must also acknowledge the historical contributions of our fellow African countries in laying the foundations of our public transport system. As our President, Mr. Abnatsebe, aptly noted, these connections remind us of the deep ties we share as a continent. South Africa ke ga malome. For a lot of the diaspora, greatly encouraging and influencing our vibrant mobility that cuts across communities, borders, and hopefully continents in the near future in light of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, the largest of its kind in the world that seeks to break barriers to conscientious development founded on trust and curiosity or interest to expand horizons and mutual respect through cultural exchanges, trade, and mutual investment. It is this shared history and interests, the land and all its derivatives, that strengthens our resolve to create mobility solutions that serve all our people, transcending borders and barriers. Summary of the day. Today's program offered a rich array of insights and solutions. The first one, compliance and formalization. We explored the transformative potential of formalizing the e-hailing and meter taxi sectors with CSD registration, tax compliance, and labor law compliance as cornerstones of a compliant and future-proof mobility sector. The second point, future of e-hailing. Engaging discussions highlighted the impact of regulatory changes and the necessity of adaptive strategies for operators. Point 3, fleet management and risk mitigation. Best practices in cost containment, vehicle financing, and risk management were shared by industry leaders, equipping us with practical tools for success. Point 4, safety and security. Safety remains a priority, with stakeholders emphasizing collaborative approaches to protect operators, passengers, and vehicles. Examples would include TITA's taxi chamber under the capable stewardship of Mr. Penyani and Mr. Tsolo, the Honorable Gauteng Premier Ntate Panyaza Lisufi's office, Gauteng MEC for Transport Mme Kidiboni Diale Tlabela, the Gauteng Provincial Regulatory Authority, the Tourism Business Council of South Africa, the Automotive Industry Development Center in the Eastern Cape, Response 24, who are implementing our response solution, as well as Gauteng Women in Tourism, who have expressed a shared desire and willingness to protect, empower, and enhance the travel experience in South Africa. Key outcomes: strengthen partnerships between public and private sectors. We now have a roadmap for integrating e-hailing services into South Africa's urban mobility strategies. We have a unified commitment to advancing innovation and compliance within the industry. As I make my closing remarks, I would like to extend my deepest appreciation to all the speakers, panelists, sponsors, and delegates who made today a success. Special thanks to Ms. Rebecca Pala for her outstanding role as Program Director and for ensuring the smooth running of this event. Let us leave here inspired and determined to implement the insights gained today. Together we can build a mobility system that is inclusive, sustainable, and reflective of the unity and innovation that defines us as a nation and continent. Thank you all. Travel safely, and may we meet again soon with even greater accomplishments to celebrate. To the graduates and respective executives, we will see you at our dazzling graduation ceremony and gala dinner. To our President, SG, DSG, CSM, National Logistics Manager, and all other senior colleagues, all protocols are indeed observed, and we would like to thank you once again for being proud parents. Halala Santaco, halala Samtea, halala Mzansi, Victoria siempre. Victory is certain.
Dumelang askisu kena fast. Phone. Of kema silem phone ay ko batho ba le ba etsang. Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Before I pray, my heart is filled with joy. I've prayed for something like this to happen, and now we are starting to see the light. Actually, we're not starting. We are already seeing the light. I just want to pass big thanks to the leadership of SAMTEA and for being patient with us as well. I know I wasn't called for this. I'm going to pray, but I just felt like, as Baruti, you know, we preach. That's why I said this industry has everything. Halisheva, what is always trending, the escape cars, the Bolt cars, the Uber cars, Baruti ba tengi, the MCs di tengi, the artists di tengi. Mara yabo escape car, we're gonna fix it, because now we are in the right channel. I wanted to say hallelujah, but come out. Let us bow, then I pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for we have invited you as we start. Mudimu wali hodimo, what we were here for
zwo itea mudzimu wa ḽiṱaḓulu khe zwino ri kha ḓi yo balangana hafhano. I pray for the second event. mudzimu wa ḽiṱaḓulu u dzhenelela na khayo nga dzina ḽi mangadzaho ḽa murena yesu kristo wa nazaretha. baba ndi rabelela murena na divine protection. mudzimu wa ḽiṱaḓulu musi ri kha ḓi yo bvela phanḓa na hono mushumo nga dzina ḽi mangadzaho ḽa murena yesu kristo wa nazaretha. I pray for those who are going to travel. mudzimu wa ḽiṱaḓulu, travel with them, protect them. mudzimu wa vhugala ndi rabelela na dzi business dzavho rine, enhance them. murena a vha ri ite ri vhe successful. We have gathered all the information, but Lord, help us to put it into work. nga dzina ḽi mangadzaho ḽa murena yesu kristo wa nazaretha, ri a vha livhuwa pfhariso yavho, ri livhuwa u rangiwa phanḓa, ri livhuwa u vha hone ha vhone, ri livhuwa u tondiwa nga mitakalo, so that we make this day possible. nga dzina ḽi mangadzaho ḽa murena yesu kristo wa nazaretha, can we all say amen? Thank you.